Yo, what is up everybody? It is your boy Undead Strix here, back at it again with another video. Alright, as y'all can see, today's video is going to be What If Naruto Was Reighley's Reincarnation, Part 1. If y'all do enjoy this series, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you can get caught up with all of my latest videos. And hopefully, maybe even join that YouTube membership, which will be linked down in the description for y'all to be able to join. If y'all want me to do a more in-detailed description about exactly what all that entails, please ask and I'll make the video as soon as I can. I also wanted to tell you that I will be changing my upload schedule if y'all haven't been able to notice. I'll only be uploading maybe maximum of 3 videos a week, and I'll just put them in randomly throughout the days and usually somewhere closer to the weekends. But I hope that y'all enjoyed this video, but let's get into the rest of it.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
A 4-year-old Naruto would be sitting down on a just small swing set, doing nothing, bothering nobody, just sticking to himself because that's all he really can do. No one really wants to be around him. No one really wants to play with him, and everyone just rather leave him alone. He doesn't know why people act like this, and he doesn't really understand them, but he at least understands that if they don't want to play with him, just leave them alone. It's not his fault. He can't do anything about it. This Naruto with long, silky, golden hair, looking exactly like a young Reighley would have looked, is just gonna have the exact same personality that Reighley will have. Being a ladies' man, being charismatic, being charming, and being extremely strong in his own right. He would really never bother anyone. He chooses to stay by himself. He still has friends in Shikamaru and Choji, the only 2 people that really bother to actually play with him, that don't see him as just the nuisance that everyone else sees him as, and don't see him as just like a complete troublemaker. He's still so young. He hasn't done anything to anyone, and all he wants to do is just stay by himself. He doesn't bother anyone, yet he still gets chased around the village for no reason, and he just wants to be left alone. He just wants a safe place, someone to care about him, and somewhere to be, just to call a home, but he can never find one. As he would be playing with Shikamaru and Choji one day, as he would eventually hear about a few things. Just hearing about all the different things that could possibly go happening. Shikamaru would tell Naruto about a place that his family owns that no one else could enter unless they are allowed in. As Naruto would just ask what this place is, and Shikamaru would just say this is the Nara clan family reserve. It's a place specifically dedicated to the Nara family, and unless you're invited in, going in is almost a death sentence. As Naruto hears about this and thinks that this might be a good place for him to hide or lay low, and he asks Shikamaru to do him a favor. As Naruto would end up at Shikamaru's house talking with Shikamaru's dad, and Shikamaru's dad would just be like, "Hello Naruto, it's nice to see you again." As Naruto's just like, "Hello, Mr. Nara," because he actually acts respectful to Mr. Nara, to Shikamaru's dad specifically. Someone that actually treats him with respect, and almost the only adult that actually cares for him, that watches over him. As Naruto's just like, "Mr. Nara, I have a favor to ask of you." As Shikamaru's dad is just like, "What is it, Naruto?" Naruto would just go, "I heard from Shikamaru that y'all have a technical forest that if you're allowed in, you're completely safe. No one else besides your family can go in without it almost automatically being a death sentence." As Shikamaru's dad is just like, "Yes, that's right. What up it?" As Naruto would just go, "I was wondering, would you allow me to go in?" As Shikamaru's dad is just like very confused, wondering, "Naruto, why would you ask that?" As Naruto's just like, The villagers obviously hate me for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know what I've done, but since they always just pick on me for no reason, I was wondering if that place that Shikamaru was talking about is so safe and no one else besides your family, the only family that I trust besides the Choji and his family, if this place is actually so safe and actually peaceful, I was wondering if y'all would allow me to live in there instead. No one else cares about me inside of this village besides y'all, and I don't really have any place to go, so it's easier for me to be there where I can come in and out, and if I go in, I know that the other villagers can't follow me in there and beat me, as they normally do. As Shikamaru's dad, hearing about this, already knew that the villagers did all of these things to Naruto, but he didn't think it was to this extent because he's seen Naruto come home, well, at least come like around completely beaten and bruised. As he was just like, he didn't really think it was that bad, and he would eventually just think about it and eventually say, why not? Because he at least feels for Naruto. Naruto is a kind kid, he's a respectable kid, and having to deal with this is something that no kid should have to ever be dealing with, no kid should ever be put through. But since he is, it would be better to have a safe place that he can be entered into. As Shikamaru would take Naruto to the forest and allow him in, as obviously at first it would be Naruto would feel a little weird, but after a little bit, Shikamaru would say, it's fine, Naruto, you're allowed to enter, and you're allowed to come in and out as you please. This is your home. We are technically one of the closest things you got to family, and Shikamaru, yes, always acting like this is such a drag, actually respects Naruto for being able to deal with the things that he deals with, for being able to actually put up with the villagers and never actually say anything. He's always completely respectable to the villagers, and he never actually does anything to harm them. He always is just a completely nice in person, and the villagers still act like they do to him. As Naruto would enter and find just a little, make like a little shack after about a few weeks. Just somewhere that he could really call home, and he would spend most of his time there. He wouldn't tell any of the villagers where he was, and he would just spend most of his days there, just coming out to talk to Shikamaru or get some food from the Nara household if he hasn't been able to catch anything that day, since for the most part he just likes to stay inside of the actual reserve. He'll make food, he'll catch fish, cook it himself, eat it there, get some water, and do everything himself there. He doesn't go out for many reasons, so the villagers don't know where Naruto is most of the time. Most of the villagers don't even see Naruto ever, so they just wondered where he went. The same kid that they've been picking on, they're not even worried, but they're just looking for him so they could give him more of a beating, blaming him for being the Nine Tails that killed so many of the people that they loved. As after about like 5-6 months, the villagers would have almost completely forgot about Naruto, and eventually Hiruzen, with his horrible parent management and parenting skills, would eventually start wondering, where is Naruto? He hasn't seen him in a long time, and he hasn't even came to check on him in months. So Hiruzen didn't even notice that Naruto had gone. So he would just ask around the villagers, and the villagers would say that they hadn't seen Naruto in months. Like any time that they do, like it's just like for like sheer minutes, and then he's gone again. The only person that actually knows where Naruto is Ichiraku Ramen, because Naruto still goes to get some ramen every now and then, but not every day. And he spends most of his time just training his chakra, training just how his energy, his just control, because he knows that that's something that could be important. He trains everything in his body at such a young age because that's all he really can do. Just train, practicing, and more practicing daily. As eventually Hiruzen would figure out that Naruto was in the Nara family reserve, going to Shikamaru's dad and just asking, hello, I was wondering, where's Naruto? As Shikamaru's dad would just be like, it's been 5 months, Hiruzen. 5 months. You haven't came to check on him in 5 months, and you are really now just asking where he is? Did you even notice that he was gone? As Hiruzen's like, in all honesty, no, I didn't. I've been busy. As like Shikamaru's dad is just like too busy to take care of a child. Like Shikamaru's dad knows who Naruto's parents are. He's smart enough that he could at least put two and two together. Naruto might look exactly like Reighley, but he still has blonde hair. He still has some of the defining features that Minato had. He has the blonde hair. No one else in the Leaf had blonde hair like that besides Minato. He was born around the same time that Kushina was pregnant, and if anyone else that couldn't put two and two together, they might have just been idiots. As like he was just like, I've been trying my best. As Shikamaru's dad would just say, your best isn't good enough anymore. This kid deserves to be with someone that actually cares about him. Someone that actually wants to be there for him. This kid's been alone, spending his time in the forest for almost 5 months completely. Never really coming out unless we want him to come out and eat, because he still at least deserves some kind of friends, some kind of family. This kid deserves respect. He's only a child, and the villagers treat him like he's a monster just because of what's inside of him. Obviously, we haven't said anything about it because you put the gag order, and we still respect you as a Hokage enough that we're not going to go against your word, but your actual skills as a guardian are lacking severely. As the fact that Naruto has been gone for 5 months actually got word outside of the village. Not to anyone that would have done any harm, but to someone that would have actually cared. This being Jiraiya. Him hearing that Naruto hadn't really been seen in months, and had just been like in and out of the village in a sort of sense, had Jiraiya worried. So he came in just to check on Naruto. Just to check on this kid that he had never actually seen, but he wanted to. He's been busy doing the work that he always has been, but he thinks it's time to actually check in on this kid, his godson, the actual person that Minato should have left Naruto with, but Hiruzen thought that he could take care of Naruto. As Jiraiya would eventually make it to the Leaf after about another month, so Hiruzen would have taken Naruto out of the Nara family, like actual the Nara forest, and had just asked, like, put Naruto back in the same small house that he was in, as Naruto did not want to go at all. He wanted to stay there where he felt safe, where he felt comfortable, where he felt that no one could hurt him. But now that he was back inside of the sights of the village, it was all over the same things over and over again, just day in, day out. Like Shikamaru's dad just asked if Naruto could just stay there, leave him alone. He could come check in on Naruto, but just leave Naruto there where he feels safe. But Hiruzen just said he wants to be able to keep a closer eye on Naruto, so he wants to put him back where he was, so he could actually do his job and actually keep a close eye on Naruto. Obviously not doing so, but his reasoning for wanting Naruto back inside the village where everyone else could see him. As eventually that month would have ended off, and Jiraiya would have entered the village. He would have went straight to Hiruzen and asked where was Naruto, and Hiruzen would just say he was in his house probably. As Jiraiya is just like, I'm going to go see him. As he would go to Naruto's house and knock on the door, opening the door and seeing Naruto like just lying on the ground with like a bloody nose and a black eye. And he just comes in and looks at Naruto, and he's just like, Naruto, are you okay? As Naruto just looks up and he just sees Jiraiya, and he's just like, who are you? What are you doing here? As Jiraiya is just like, my name's Jiraiya. I was a friend of your parents. I think it's time you come with me and we leave here. You don't look like you're doing too well here. As Naruto's just completely confused as Jiraiya would pick Naruto up, put him on his back, and take him to Hiruzen. He would say that to Hiruzen that, Hiruzen, is this really how you treat children? Is this really how you think that they should be treated? Really? Naruto is my godson, which means I have rights to take him. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm taking him out of the leaf, protecting him, putting him under my wing, and raising him until he's strong enough to protect himself. He'll come back for the academy eventually, and I'll train him and raise him for at least the next 4 years until he's ready to come into the academy. As Hiruzen would try to stop Jiraiya because Naruto is still the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, and leaving the hidden leaf would cause some problems, but he looks at Jiraiya's eyes. He sees Jiraiya's not joking around, and he at least understands that Jiraiya is still a Sannin, so he can still protect Naruto. And that's exactly what would happen. Jiraiya would take Naruto and he would leave the leaf. Naruto would wake up and he was outside of the leaf, and he would just look at Jiraiya and just ask, "Where are we?" As Jiraiya would just say, "We're outside the leaf. You're gonna be staying with me from now on." As Naruto's just like, yeah, I think I heard you earlier. Your name's Jiraiya, right?" As Jiraiya just says, "Yes, yes, Naruto, my boy." As he's just like, "Yeah, I was a friend of your father and your mother. I actually trained your father." As Naruto's just like, "Father, mother, I don't even know who they are. The village always keeps that away from me." As Jiraiya's just like, "Why would they do that? I don't understand Hiruzen's reasoning for doing any of the things that he does." As Jiraiya would just say, "Your father's name was Minato Namikaze. Your mother's was Kushina Uchiha." As Naruto's just like, "Minato, wasn't that the name of the fourth Hokage?" As Jiraiya's like, "Exactly correct. Your father was the fourth Hokage." As Naruto's just like, "So the villagers have been treating me like that? Even with who my father was, what did I possibly do?" As Jiraiya's like, "I think it's finally time that we stopped lying to you. You hold inside of you the Nine Tails. It's a tailed beast that did great harm to the village before you were born, on the same day that you were born actually, and they still resent you just because you hold this beast inside of you. You have done nothing. But from now on, don't worry, you'll be with me. I'll take care of you, I'll raise you, and I'll teach you how to control it. I'll teach you how to get stronger." As from that day, Jiraiya would be just training Naruto and teaching him. They would be just going on the move, still doing what Jiraiya did normally, but eventually they would just settle down and stay in one place, since Naruto really didn't have a home. He would gain some of Jiraiya's personality, yeah, but it would just mostly be about being a ladies' man. But Naruto, being Naruto, would still be extremely respectful. He would know what to say, what not to say, and he would actually be a better version of Jiraiya in a sense, having like Reighley's actual charm, charisma, and actual just like nonchalance about him. And he would start growing out his hair. He would grow out his hair to the point that in the 4 years that he would be away, it would be around the same length as Reighley's is. He wouldn't have a scar yet, but he would look like just like a baby Reighley. As Jiraiya would start teaching Naruto as much things as he can. Naruto obviously still being so young, he would just really feed Naruto, give Naruto a lot to eat so he could grow, because Naruto looked like he ate, but it didn't look like he ate a lot, especially during that last month. He was going back to just eating Ichiraku ramen most days, and on the other days just going to the Nara household to eat a few other things. He was able to say goodbye to Shikamaru before he left, because like Jiraiya at least knew that he was good friends with the Nara family, and Jiraiya thanked Shikamaru and his family for protecting Naruto, and he would say that Naruto will be back soon enough, so don't worry. as everything would just move on. And during those 4 years, Naruto would unlock observation and armament haki. He would unlock armament just because Jiraiya already has a thing like kind of like armament, where he just like hardens everything, like hardens his hair, that technique that he uses. And Naruto would really not like learn this based on Jiraiya, but he would base it kind of on Jiraiya instead of hardening his hair, because he doesn't have as much as Jiraiya does and he doesn't have the same techniques. He would somehow manage to harden his skin. Jiraiya wouldn't understand how Naruto was doing this, but he wouldn't really question it, just thinking that it might just be an ability that Naruto's innate with. Naruto's observation haki would grow to the point that he would able to use like future sight to a small level, since obviously he'd be still being so young, but it was only because the training that Jiraiya put him through was grueling. It was insane. He would be able to just do so much because Jiraiya would make sure that Naruto's training was insanely harsh, but also make sure that Naruto was fed, taken care of, and had the rest that he needed. So he would train hard, but he would also rest with the actual needing that he would. So he would never like completely just getting too much stress, gain too much that he is completely overtaken by just restlessness, just being too tired to be able to do anything, which would honestly think about happening quite a bit. But eventually they would think it would be around back time to have Naruto go back to the Leaf. Naruto would be around like 8 years old, and the academy would have started a year earlier, but Jiraiya didn't think Naruto was ready yet. Now Naruto has these two skills. His sensory levels are through the roof. His actual hardening is amazing, which Naruto had actually managed to gain some armament back when he was 4, just after all the villagers doing all of the just hitting him a few times, that his body started getting accustomed to it, and it started hardening just to protect Naruto as a technical self-defense mode. Naruto didn't notice he was doing it, but it was happening. And his observation kicked in around the same time, just because he was just getting into so many fights that he would just start to notice exactly how people were moving. He couldn't obviously defend too many people at the same time, but eventually he just got used to dealing with it, that he was able to start noticing where their moves were gonna go seconds before it would hit them. As Naruto, now 8 years old, would think that, yeah, it's time for me to go back. I might not like being around there, but I'm just seeing my friends, and it's been a while since I've actually been with people my own age. He has the charisma. He looks completely different. He has long, silky, flowing blonde hair. He just looks like a complete unit. He doesn't have that same jumpsuit style. He's actually wearing kind of what Reighley wears, a white cloak with an orange shirt and the same kind of pants that Reighley wears, obviously still with the flip-flops and everything like that. And at this point, an 8-year-old Naruto is way taller than he was. He's around the same height as his self when he was actually going into Team 7, because Reighley made sure to feed him, train him, and Naruto's height actually came good from that. It gained so much because he was actually not malnourished. He was fed properly. He was able to grow into his true height. He wasn't like short anymore. He was actually the normal height for his own age. He was actually a little taller for his own age, as he'll end up being around the same height as Reighley at the end, which he will be pretty tall, obviously. So he is just really trying to train himself. Jiraiya has tried to get Naruto to be able to like harness the Nine Tails chakra, which doesn't always work well, but Naruto at least had communications with the Nine Tails up until now. They don't obviously like each other or get along at all, but the Nine Tails was surprised to see that Naruto was able to contact him so easily. And seeing Naruto's personality, the Nine Tails kind of will get to like Naruto way earlier on, and actually gain a kin to Naruto way quicker than he did originally. As it would be Naruto's first day back in the Leaf, as he would come in with Jiraiya going through the Leaf gates, and there would already be people waiting to see him. Shikamaru and Choji would be the first ones on the doorsteps, with Shikamaru's dad and Choji's family around there with him. Shikamaru and Choji would come in, hug Naruto, and just completely say that you've grown quite a bit, haven't you, Naruto? As Naruto's the only person that Shikamaru doesn't completely act like this is a drag to. He actually has some emotion when he's talking to Naruto, because Naruto is someone that he actually trusts, he actually respects, and he actually likes to talk to. Naruto gives him a reason to want to speak, not to think everything is a drag, but just to actually be more of a kind person to everyone else. As they would really just be chilling, and Naruto would come in, not coming into the same little house that he was in, but going straight to the Nara family reserves and just going into the old shack that he built, seeing that it had actually been built upon during this time. It's Shikamaru just saying, of course we built upon it. We knew that you would eventually come back, and we were guessing you didn't want to go back to that small house that you had, so we built you a little bigger house inside of the reserve so you could go there anytime. As Jiraiya's just like thanking Shikamaru's dad so much for still caring about Naruto even after he was gone for so long. As Shikamaru's dad was like, obviously Naruto is a part of our family. He is someone that we actually truly trust and respect. The things that he's been through, no kid should ever be through, but he has always been kind to everyone. And now that he's back, we'll protect him even when you're gone. As Jiraiya's like, Naruto's strong enough to protect himself. He's learned a lot of new moves since he's been gone. Naruto's already learned Rasengan. He's learned Shadow Clones, and he's practiced Flying Raijin. Jiraiya didn't know the exact aspects of Flying Raijin, but he at least knew the basics. So he has been teaching Naruto all of the moves that his father knew. He's teaching Naruto everything that his father knew, and trying to at least get him as strong as he possibly could be, because Naruto for some reason is able to actually handle it. Also, another thing, what do y'all want me to give Naruto as a summoning? Do you just want me to keep it as a toad? Because that's easy, but what do y'all want? Y'all want it to be a snake? Or what do y'all actually want for his summoning to be? Like, you could make something up and make a completely new thing, give him some kind of random thing. But yeah, as he would just completely come in and go sit down during the first day back as a student. Everyone would just look back and see a kind of new kid. No one really recognizing it's Naruto, because he looks almost completely different. At this point, he's gained a scar on one of his eyes, just from one of the days that he was training with Jiraiya. And Jiraiya kind of got a little carried away and overboard, but Naruto knew that Jiraiya didn't mean anything by it, and they were just having some fun. They actually laughed it off a bit later, as Naruto looks like a completely different person. He has a sword with him that he made himself a few years ago with Jiraiya's help, doing it all himself because he wanted to make something all for himself. And y'all can decide what kind of sword it's going to be, or just maybe I'll even choose something from One Piece that I actually like. Maybe just give him Enma for some no reason at all. But he is just really chilling. It's his first day back. He's sitting in the back of the class and everyone's just looking at him. He is just really chilling, not doing too much, as the class would start and they would just go outside, going for like a sparring day, just asking to show everyone to what they can do, and he would end up facing against Sasuke. everyone would just think Sasuke's gonna win because no one knows anything about Naruto, and anyone that remembers him actually still thinks that he remembers him as that little weak kid that no one liked. As his fight with Sasuke would start, he would not go all out because he knows no kid's gonna be able to handle what he can do. So he's just going like not even like 20-30% of his full strength because he's been training extremely hard these last 4 years. He's as strong as most of the other like Chunin, or at least maybe the lower level Jonin. He's just that strong at this young of an age, as he's acting so like just doing everything to himself and fighting Sasuke so quickly that he's able to use wind style, fire style, and almost any other style. He's able to use all the basic styles of chakra natures and without any difficulty, and he's not using them all. He's only using wind against Sasuke because he doesn't see the point of going all out against someone that isn't that strong. It's been a year since Sasuke's family was completely murdered by Itachi and everything like that, and since the Uchiha massacre, but Naruto doesn't know anything about that, so he doesn't really know anything since he's been gone, so he's not really worried about anything like that. But he's just chilling, and eventually would beat Sasuke in less than like 5 moves. As everyone's just like, he beat Sasuke? That's impossible. How? He must have been cheating. They're just like not believing it. Not like truly believing that this kid was able to beat someone that they didn't even think was beatable. Sasuke was the strongest person in the class until now. And they don't understand how it was possible for Sasuke to lose. They don't understand it. They're just dumbfounded about the fact that someone they thought was completely unbeatable, someone that they had known as just the strongest person inside of this entire like class, to be beaten so easily. As time would go on and Naruto would gain a lot more popularity with the females. He had been gone, but he at least understood how to talk to women. He knew how Jiraiya talked to women, and he knew not to do what Jiraiya did. So he would talk to a woman respectfully. He would still be completely respectable, but his strength was almost completely unmatched by anyone on his in his grade level. He would not decide to graduate early, but he really could have, but he knew that he still would have needed a team, and so he's not gonna see the point of graduating early and then not having a team, because he already knows who he wants. He wants to train under Kakashi, but he already understands Kakashi kind of, because Jiraiya's explained who Kakashi is during these years. Naruto's always asked about for Jiraiya to tell him more stories about his father, tell him more stories about his clan, and Naruto's been able to actually learn chakra chains, like the Uzumaki chains, and it's just something that I'm going to give him because why not, just for the fun of it. But he's really just been chilling, just learning all of these skills, learning all of these things that obviously he normally didn't know, but he's able to do so much easier now since he has more control over his chakra. He's been able to train with Jiraiya so long that his chakra control is way better than it was. The Nine Tails, it can't even keep up with Naruto's chakra control anymore. But with all of that said, this is where I'm going to be leaving the what if off. If y'all liked this part, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell if y'all did enjoy this content. And I hope that y'all did, but with all of that said, I hope to see y'all in the next part. And as I said, I don't know exactly what my upload schedule is going to be from now on, but don't worry about it. I'll tell y'all when I figure it out. But with all of that said, peace.